La 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 la. Yes, the Casanovians. Right, boys, I'm going to talk to you about a concept today, which I am labeling becoming a 0% man. So I've got to a stage now where I'm just done with all of these autistic numerics of, oh, you must become a top 1% man, you must become a high value man, you must you must get a symmetrical face and a nice jaw and be making 10 figures and have a penthouse in Malibu, otherwise you're never going to win the dating game. And what I've realised, I just had this epiphanova whilst I was having a shit on a toilet. I'm still overcoming my illness from yesterday, so if I'm not super coherent in this stream, that's why. We'll blame it on the illness. But what I started to realise more and more as I was undergoing my daily tsunami was all of this notion of, oh, you must become a high value man, you must become top 1%. It puts us onto this endless treadmill of comparisons, like trying to outcompete other guys. But what I've realized now is there's always going to be a guy who is objectively better than you. All right, there's always going to be a guy who's got bigger arms, a guy who's got a bigger bank balance, a guy who's got a nicer face, and you will drive yourself crazy. And I'm saying this as somebody who's gone through deep into the red pill rabbit hole, even sometimes down the black pill rabbit hole a couple of years back, and you'll lose yourself. Like, you'll lose your soul in this gamification, this overemphasis on, oh, I must become the best, I must outcompete every other guy. But what I want to do for you in this stream is hopefully put your soul, put your mind at ease, and recognize that the way you actually win, rather than beating 99% of guys, the way you beat 100% of guys is not even competing in the first place, but rather living for an audience of one, putting yourself into this rarefied realm where you become this outlier, where you become this guy who's dancing to his own music, who's singing to his own symphony. And if people don't like you, fuck them. So this is still like a new concept in my mind, so I'm gonna do my best to dispel it in this stream. But by watching this stream all the way through, I really do hope it saves you a lot of time, a lot of hassle, a lot of wasted effort. I do accept that on a biological level, we are always seeing how we compare to other guys. I appreciate that is a biological defense mechanism inside of us. But I think the first step is being aware of it. I used to do this all the time. Whenever I used to walk into a bar at 18, 19 years old, I was always placing emphasis on who was better than me in that venue. Yeah, I was always looking around the room to find guys who had objectively better metrics, who had better social skills, who had a better body, who did I think was making more money. And I would over-pedestalize everybody. And by over-pedestalizing everybody else, I diminish my own sense of importance. So therefore, I was operating from a place of lack rather than from a place of wholeness. And all of this was just a deep desire to want to be wanted, okay? I don't care what anybody says in this space. All of these hyper-masculine red pill commentators who are telling you, oh, looks, money, status, you just need to, whatever, outperform and all this bollocks. When we strip it all back, we all just want to be wanted. We all want to feel as though we're worthy. We all want to feel as though we're enough. We're sick of grappling with that perceived lack of self-worth, seeing women that we find attractive and then thinking too many steps ahead, rejecting ourselves on their behalf, experiencing failure in advance. And I get that. I do think a big part of this process of masculine renaissance and game, let's just call it that, it's a process of self-mastery. And I think that process begins when we actually stop competing with the world around us, and instead we just live for an audience of one. So yeah, this is how we become a 0% man. It's checking out of the game entirely, almost just living in this delusional reality where we're living in our own world. Does that make sense? I think actually, before we even get into the stream, a really practical thing you boys can start doing is just stop watching the news. Like, I used to think that, oh, if I watch the news, I can stay up to date with world events. It's going to make me a more learned individual. And really, what I realized was it was just injecting mind virus into me every single day. So I think the first step to checking out of this whatever world, which is probably not even real anyway, when you accept that we're actually living in a simulation and we've got full sovereignty over everything that happens to us, stop watching the news, right? If there's a famine in Kenya right now, it's probably not going to affect you. If there's a meteor about to hit the earth in 10 minutes, it's probably better that you don't know about it. So that's just advice anyway. And I'll say, with all this stuff, I might know nothing. I'm just a 27-year-old kid who's documenting his life one live stream at a time. The more I learn, the less I know. So yeah, if you disagree with anything that I say, that's great. It means you're a critical thinker, and I appreciate you. Let me kick off with this because I think this will feed into the topic that we're going to discuss about being a 0% man. And the way that I'm operating my content, this channel, the way that I interact with my clients one-on-one, it feeds into this notion of living for an audience of one. So this is actually a testimonial from one of our guys inside of the Entourage, who many of you will know. Client here. Most of us can look back on our lives and identify key moments that shaped where we are today. Kristian was that for me. I'm Kristian, by the way. Before working with Kristian, I would allow myself to be pulled into relationships that I didn't really want to be in, all because I was afraid of being alone for extended periods without romantic activity. Now I have a skill that allows me to get dates anywhere. I've flown to different countries. I've lined up double dates for my friends. I've hit impressive sales metrics at work, all because of the approach to life that Kristian has been refining and sharing over these last 3 years. Kristian isn't a dating coach. This part's important. Kristian isn't a dating coach. He's a freedom coach. Now I'm free from societal pressures. I'm free from romantic scarcity. Everybody treats me differently now, all because I can walk over to the girl. Not to mention, Kristian's product got me such good results that I literally created my own channel where I share the same approach to life with my own spin on it. Great video, mate. That's from Efrem. So the part where Efrem says Kristian isn't a dating coach, he's a freedom coach. This is how we want to be operating our lives, where we almost defy categorization. So I don't view myself as a dating coach. I don't view myself as a day gamer, and I certainly don't view myself as a pickup artist. I view myself as a freedom from bullshit practitioner. And therefore, when people come across my content, they expect a certain type of content. They just think, oh, day gamer, oh, PUA, oh, I've seen all of this before. But then the longer people spend in, let's just say, my house, which is my YouTube channel, they realize the furniture is a lot different to what they were expecting. And this is how we become an anomaly. It's where we defy categorization, like becoming so rare, so wickedly unique that people have never seen anything like us before. And that's when you've transcended the game, where it's no longer, oh, this guy gets girls because he's got a nice face. This guy gets girls because he's got lots of money. This guy gets girls because X, Y, Z. This guy gets girls because of the person he is, because he defies categorization, okay? So the first way that we can actually become this 0% man who people can't put any labels on, where you're walking into a room and you're just there because you enjoy being there, right? Anything that you want to do, you do it because you want to do it. All of this thing, all this bollocks, like, oh, the way you get a woman is you have to be a bad boy, right? This whole like nice guy, bad boy argument. It's like, oh, you know, I have to be a bad boy. I have to become an arsehole. It's like, no. All of this bollocks is so surface level. All this comes down to is being somebody who you're actually proud to be and doing whatever you want to do because it pleases you to do so. When you can operate from this frequency where the things that you do in your life, whether it's texting a woman 3 minutes after getting her number, whether it's holding a door open for a woman, whether it's taking a woman to a really expensive place on your first date, if you're operating from a place of, I'm doing this because I just fucking want to do it and it pleases me as a man to do so and I don't need anything in return, that's when you transcend the game. Because most people, the reason why they suck in the dating game is because all of their actions are based off of, what can I get from this person? How am I going to be perceived? Rather than, I'm just going to do this thing because it pleases me to do so. So if you can operate from that place where it's like, yeah, I'm going to go over to that girl, I'm going to give her a compliment because I don't need anything from her, but it pleases me to do that, then you've started to crack it because now you don't need anything from everybody. And it's the excess importance that we place on outcomes that puts us into a state of lack. When we are saying things to ourselves like, right, I'm going to go over to this girl and I'm going to give her a compliment, not because it fills my soul as a man to do so, but I'm going to say this thing in the hopes that she likes me. You're putting yourself into a state of lack. You're creating an emotional imbalance, and then you need a certain thing from this girl in order to feel whole. That's the wrong way to play it, okay? If you can operate from this place of wholeness rather than from this place of lack, meaning you're no longer looking at other guys thinking, oh, this guy's better than me, this guy's got a nicer jaw than me, this guy's got bigger arms than me, this guy's making more money than me, but you're like, yeah, do you know what? I'm playing this game and I'm in my own lane here. I'm an anomaly. I'm a rarefied whatever you are. That's when you've cracked it, and then you're free. Like that is freedom right there, where you don't need anything from anybody anymore. And one of the best ways to do this is live as though you're already dead. Okay, live as though you're already dead. When I was ill yesterday, and I was lying in that bed feeling sorry for myself, I hit this point of almost like, I don't even know how to describe it. I was just like, oh wow, this is what it feels like to be on death's door. This is what it feels like to feel like absolute shit, like rock bottom. I was in this like delirious state of like, well, it doesn't really matter, does it? And being in that place where you can live as though you're already dead, I don't know, it just changes things for me, because I think one of the regrets of the dying was I wish I wouldn't have cared so much about what other people thought of me. Okay? I wish I wouldn't have cared so much about what other people thought of me. And the way that I perceive the world is nothing is real. Okay? We attach interpretations to everything that happens. Everything is inherently neutral. It's like Shakespeare said, nothing is good nor bad. It's the thinking that makes it so. So if you can, from this point forward, start to attach your own interpretations to events, then you become a dangerous player. So when I was lying in that bed yesterday, the question that I started to ask myself was, why is God handing me this opportunity right now? Like, why have I got ill in this moment? And I actually feel as though the reason why that happened to me was because the universe, God, whatever you believe in, it was forcing me into a state of reflection. Like I was going hard. Like the past 7 days, I uploaded like over 40 hours of content onto YouTube. I uploaded 3 free online courses, which you can watch as well. They're on the homepage of my channel. Like I was just going hard. I wasn't even giving myself, my body time to rest. It was just like go, go, go. And then I think that was the universe's way of just getting me to slow down, to actually reflect and realize, okay, we're not a machine, we're not a robot. We do have to have times where we take a step back and reflect on what we've done so far. Otherwise, I would have just kept like push, 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 push. So your ability to attach interpretation to events is your secret superpower. So like if you go out today and you do 10 direct call approaches, first of all, congratulations for actually doing that, because that is what a 0% man would do. Like all of this, or you have to become a 1% man, build it and they will come. Be a high value. A high value man doesn't go over and compliment women because that's low value. It's like Oscar Wilde said, most people are other people. Their lives are mimicry, their passions are quotation. Like how often are the things that we want, things that we actually want, or things that we've been brainwashed by the brain dead into thinking we should want to want? Like what do you believe to be true about the world that isn't? Because for a lot of you boys, you're running off scripts that have just been programmed into you by people who are selling courses online, who've got a nice shiny Bugatti, and you don't even realize it. I see it in people's comments all the time, like, oh, it's easy for this guy. The reason he gets girls is because he's a Chad. Like, dude, if you're using all of this weird terminology, like, oh, he's a Chad, that is programming. You've been programmed. Nobody uses that word. Nobody uses those words. In the real world, nobody uses that terminology. And there is a big difference between the real world and the world which is portrayed on the internet. And I do think a great thing that anybody can start doing right now, as well as to stop watching the news, is just have a 7-day digital detox where you don't consume any manospheric content. It becomes like porn in a way. You actually become addicted to watching self-improvement videos or red pill videos, or even worse, fucking black pill videos, where you go so deep down the rabbit hole that it becomes a part, like a fixture of your daily day. Just have a 7-day detox, because what that is going to allow you to do, if you're not watching the news, if you're not checking your phone all the time, if you're not watching videos online which make you feel like an unlovable piece of shit, is going to give you the time to reflect on who you are and what you actually want. And then you can focus on what are your strengths rather than focusing on other people's strengths. You can focus on you, and then you can start living for an audience of one. So if you can start living as though you're already dead, it's like that memento mori concept. Like, remember, one day you will die. That is a powerful place to live from. okay? Because nothing is guaranteed. We don't know when our final day is going to be. And we're not superhumans either. As much as I like to think, oh yeah, like I'm gonna live forever, like I can do all these amazing things. It's like, no, yesterday demonstrated to me that I am fallible and one day I will die. We actually had a death in our family this past week, so I've been looking after some members of my family, like who are grieving at the moment, who are struggling through things, and that made me realize, oh okay, yeah, our time on this earth is finite, and this is why it's so important for you to stop getting trapped in this carousel of comparisons, especially if you're spending a lot of time on Instagram, you're being bombarded with the airbrushed images and the filtered facades. You're looking at all these guys with driving amazing cars, living in these penthouses, and it's like they're just snapshots, okay? And I think if you understand as well, comparison is an illusion. Like comparison is an illusion because no two people have the same start. So there's no point in you comparing yourself to me because we're all operating on our own timeline. You can't compare your first chapter to my 40th. It doesn't make any sense. Like we're all operating on our own timeline. But if you can live as though you're already dead and embrace your own mortality, it's like Shakespeare said. He wrote it in Macbeth, I think it's Act 5, Scene 3. Whereas life's but a walking shadow, a poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage and is heard no more. It's a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. So if you can operate from this place where you're already dead, then it's going to give you more gratitude for the things that you currently have. Oh, I can walk. Oh, I can talk. Oh, the world is not as bad as I thought it was. And it's going to get you off that carousel of comparisons. I remember I actually had this epiphanova about 20 years old. So I worked as a lifeguard in America in 2017. And I remember getting to the summer camp, and at the summer camp, there were a couple of guys there who were objectively well put together individuals. And me back then at 20 years old, like I said, I would always look towards other people and compare myself to these people. And then I could tell that the girls at the summer camp were attracted to these guys because they were objectively good looking, they were well put together, they were charismatic, they were charming. And then what I actually started to do, rather than trying to compete for these women's attention by attempting to be better than these other guys, I just didn't compete whatsoever. I just focused on amplifying the characteristics which were authentic to me. So I'd just be doing my own thing. I wouldn't partake in a lot of the group activities, not because I was trying to get away from the social spotlight, but because it was more of an experiment for me. Like what happened if I decide to check out of the social scene at the camp, and what happened over time when I was just focused on myself, living for an audience of one. So I was a lifeguard, so I did a lot of the swimming lessons as well. Like I was just amplifying the characteristics that were authentic to me. And then gradually over time, the women at the summer camp, they started to pay attention to me. And I think they started to pay attention to me because I wasn't paying attention to anybody else. I was just doing my own thing. I was just living for an audience of one. And over time, they started gravitating towards me. And I had a few romantic trysts with these women at the summer camp. And all that came about, I think now, because I was just being 0% focused. I wasn't trying to compete with the other guys. I wasn't trying to compete with the looks game. I wasn't trying to compete with the body game or the charm game or the charisma game. I wasn't trying to compete anymore. I was just operating in my own lane, we'll put it that way. And that ignited curiosity within people. So I think for you going forward, if you can start to operate from this place where, yeah, you can appreciate other guys might look better than you, they might have better social skills than you, they might have better bodies than you. But in my free course, it's called my Most Fuckable Man course, we talk about this notion called violent differentiation, where the goal is not to become attractive, the goal is to become irreplaceable. And rather than trying to be better, the goal is simply to be different. And that's how you transcend the game altogether. It's when you're meeting women and they're like, I've never met anybody like you before. And if you want to learn how to do that, by the way, go download my free course. It's called my Most Fuckable Man course. I lay out an entire system in there for rewiring your entire internal belief system, differentiating yourself from every other guy on the planet. and essentially getting to a point where you actually like yourself. So everything that I've learned about inner game, mindset mastery, rewiring your internal belief system, it's in my Most Fuckable Man course, and that's a lot more coherent in this stream. So I apologize because I'm still coming back from the brink. But I'm probably going to explore this concept more in the future. I like this notion of being 0%, where it's like you're fluid. You defy categorization. It's like you can't get labels put on you. And that's why when I make this content, I like the fact that it defies categorization. It's like, oh, this guy is not a pickup artist, he's not a dating coach, he's not a day gamer. That's just Kristian. He's just doing his thing, right? So living like you're already dead, embracing your own mortality. And one of the things which has helped me as well is the notion of solipsism. So this notion of solipsism is so powerful if you're somebody who wants to start giving less of a fuck and stop placing excess importance on things that you can't control, like the opinions of other people. So like solipsism is the belief that we don't know what it's like to be anybody else, right? I'm only conscious of my own consciousness. I learned this inadvertently when I was a magician, because when I first started performing magic at 13 years old, I was always terrified of messing up the trick. Like public humiliation I was always terrified of that. And I learned recently, the reason that we fear failure is because we judge other people who fail. Okay, the reason we fear failure is because we judge other people who fail. But the moment you realize no one gives a flying fuck about you, I've made the analogy before. Whenever you see someone driving a Lamborghini, very rarely do you think about the person driving the Lamborghini, but you think what it would be like if you were driving the Lamborghini. So this guy worked his bollocks off to get the Lamborghini in the hopes that people are going to notice him, so therefore it might make him feel more worthy, more valid, get approval from strangers. But then when he's got the Lamborghini, nobody's even thinking about the guy in the Lambo. They're thinking about what it would be like for them to have the Lambo. So if you understand that concept, that no one actually gives a flying fuck about you in the most liberating way possible, that is liberated nihilism, where you can just be like, oh wow, cool, I am free, I'm 0%. But the notion of solipsism is so powerful, because if you can tap into this understanding that nothing is real, it's just the perception that we attach to things. And I heard this really good quote, I think it's from the Surrender Experiment by Michael Singer. And he said, this is so bad, it must be good. Like, this is so bad, it must be good. It goes back to the reframing thing that we were saying before. Everything is open to interpretation, right? This is so bad, it must be good. So I think a lot of times we see these quote unquote negative emotions like anxiety, depression, stress. These are often categorized as negative emotions, but I've always taken my motivation and my fuel from the darker side of human emotions. That's where my motivation, that's where my fuel has always come from. It's come from anxiety, depression, stress, not feeling as though I'm enough, not wanting to be ordinary, but wanting to be extraordinary. And I think one of my biggest fears is mediocrity. So I take these emotions, which are inherently neutral, and I decide this is going to be my fuel, and I use them to push forward. So I remember when I was living in Brazil last year, everything that could have gone wrong in Brazil did go wrong. I got really sick, all of my bank cards got cancelled, then I got threatened to get kicked out my Airbnb, my phone got sand in it because I was foolishly playing football on the sand and it fell out my pocket. Everything that could have gone wrong did go wrong. I remember hitting this point where I just completely let go. After all of these kaleidoscope of experiences happened, I just sat back and I was like, yeah, do your worst. Like I've already experienced all of this stress and this anxiety, worrying about the future, regretting the past. I just hit this point of pure transcendence where I'm like, yeah, this is so bad, it must be good. And if you can get to that point where nothing phases you anymore, it's like the James Bond notion of amuse mastery, where you've seen it all, you've done it all, things happen, but it's your reaction to these things which dictate the reality that you live. Then you almost become superhuman. You become supernatural because nothing can affect you. It doesn't mean that you don't feel these feelings. You do feel the feelings, but you channel them in an appropriate way, which serves your masculine renaissance. So point being, and again, I apologize if this has not been coherent in the slightest, but I hope that you can appreciate the point that I'm getting to here. The point of all of this is there are no comparisons when you are 0%, okay? Because otherwise you are playing the game that everybody else is playing, and you're on this constant treadmill of comparisons and looking at other people and placing excess importance on certain things. If you can get to this stage where you are completely infatuated with yourself, you're living for an audience of one, and you operate from this place of wholeness rather than from this place of lack, then everything else is just a bonus. Like, girl flakes on you, girl blows you out, you're seeing a girl and the relationship turns to dust. It all just is, right? It all just is. I think for me anyway, this is how you win the game. So yeah, boys, listen, if you're enjoying this so far, then drop it a like. Like I said, I go deeper on a lot of this stuff in my Most Fuckable Man course. So you can download that below. It's a really good course. All my courses are free, by the way. I uploaded more courses onto YouTube this week. I've got like 40 hours of content that got uploaded, so that's cool. What else did I put here? Said that. Yeah, the final thing actually was... Yeah, the final thing was embracing radical honesty. Embracing radical honesty. So, I don't know if you boys noticed, but in the content that I put out online on YouTube, it can take people aback sometimes with how radically honest about myself I am. And it's probably, if you're a regular viewer of the channel, it's probably got semi annoying for you right now when I usually tell the story of I was a porn addict, I had erectile dysfunction, I looked like a turnip, I dressed like a moron. The reason why I actually do that is not for anyone's benefit apart from myself, and that's why I actually started telling these radically honest stories. I honestly don't care if it gets to the point where it starts to annoy people, because I'm saying it because this is my way of breaking through personal barriers. Like a year ago, I would never have imagined me being that radically honest on camera, like saying that stuff to the world. And it was actually in January of this year when I was living in Cyprus. Me and Efrem were in Cyprus, and I made the commitment to do a live stream every single day. And it was doing the live streams every single day where I almost didn't have a choice but to start being radically honest. I would never have imagined. Like, I remember going through this period in my life where I was bringing girls back to my place and my dick wasn't working. I couldn't get a boner. Never in my wildest imaginations did I think I'd ever be talking about this on a YouTube live stream. And what I realized after essentially presenting myself as not perfect, presenting myself as human, I actually feel invincible now. Because there's nothing that anybody can say to me anymore which would affect me emotionally. Like, I get weird comments all the time on my YouTube channel. I get people who don't like me, who don't resonate with me, and because YouTube is set up in a way where anybody can say anything with no repercussions, you know, I receive a lot of interesting comments. Now, when you first start the social media game, that does trigger you. I don't care what anybody says. I don't think the human brain was designed to take so much criticism in a short space of time, but that's the game. It's like going to a swing gala and complain about getting wet. It's like, that's what we signed up for, dude. But like, by being so radically honest with myself, with the people who watch, by going super deep, by talking about my darkest moments, it's got me to this point of 0%, because a lot of these quote unquote high value men, these hyper masculine commentators online, most of the time, they only want you to see the best bits, right? They only want you to see the best parts of their personality. Like, oh, I'm so alpha, I'm so jacked. Like, oh, I don't feel any emotions. I got to a point where I was like, that's not real life. That's not real life, dude. Like, we all have those moments where we don't like ourselves, or we wish that certain parts of ourselves were different, or we wish that certain parts of our past were different. But what I realize is, by embracing radical honesty and saying what we feel rather than what we ought to say, that is how you transcend the game, because nobody else is prepared to do it. And also, in a kind of weird, twisted way, I do actually have a female audience on my channel as well, which I was made aware of when I checked my analytics the other day. So there are actually women who watch my videos. And I thought to myself, how nice would it be to go on a date with a woman who's watched all of my videos, and she already knows everything about me, how beautiful would that relationship be? Because there's no pretense anymore. There's nowhere to hide. I think most people fall in love with strangers because if you imagine a guy and a girl, or maybe a guy and a guy, or a girl and a girl, or two guys and a guy, you imagine that we'll use two. You imagine that two people are on a date together, and we all do it. We all do it. Everyone is presenting their best selves, okay? Everyone's doing it. Everyone is presenting themselves in a certain way, that they're presenting themselves in a way that we think the other person will best receive us. But what I found in my relationships now is that pretense can destroy meaningful relationships because we're presenting the best version of ourselves. But I think the dating game would be far more superior if we presented ourselves as we actually were, like warts and all at the start. Now, granted, it's difficult to do this with every person, and that's fair. But like the way that I see it now is if I was dating a woman and she already knew everything about me, she knew about my porn addiction, she knew that I couldn't get a boner with like 40 different women, she knew that I struggled bad with depression and anxiety and all the stuff that happened during my childhood. Like if she already knew, if she already came to the date equipped with all of that knowledge and she still wanted to get to know me, that's a powerful relationship. Because, and this is where I have so much empathy now, especially for younger guys, because they think they need to be this paragon of perfection. They think they need to have it all worked out, and they think that they can't show any unattractive side of their personality. And it's like, dude, that is a very part of you that she is going to be attracted to, because you don't need to be a robot. You need to be real. And it's like, that is polarization right there. It's like, if you truly just present yourself as you are, you disagree with things, you've got your own opinions, you know yourself inside and out, then it's like, that is attractive. It's not even about being attractive. It's about being arousing. And I think you become arousing when you just stop caring. When you stop caring about how you're going to be received. And you just stop operating from this little bitch paradigm of, oh, I hope I say the wrong thing, or I hope I don't annoy this woman, or I hope I don't lose value in her eyes. That's usually where most of your anxieties around women actually come from. It's because you're terrified of losing value in the eyes of the feminine. Because most men today are frustrated because they lack love from the feminine. So they're terrified of doing the wrong thing. They're terrified of saying the wrong thing. But if you actually understand, there is no wrong thing. There is no right way. There are literally no rules to any of this stuff. So you imagine that you walk into a bar today, right? Let's just imagine you walk into a bar today. Rather than looking around the room like I used to do, comparing yourself to every other guy, making up all of these false narratives about people you don't know anything about, but just judging people based off of face value, rather than doing that, rocking up to that bar with this notion of, listen, all the stuff that I've gone through, all of the obstacles that I've faced, all the challenges that I've overcome, I'm going to make the decision to like myself. I'm going to make the decision to be infatuated with myself. And if nobody likes me, who gives a flying fuck? That's how you win the game. That's how you transcend. That's how you become 0%, because everybody else is playing the competition, the comparison game. And it's okay at the start if you find yourself slipping back into old habits where you do start comparing yourself and you do start looking at other people and thinking, oh, this guy's got this, this, and this. Oh, the sexual marketplace, it's so fierce, it's so competitive. It's competitive if you're competing. But if you check out of the game and you transcend and you become 0%, you're just like, yeah, cool. This guy's got this better than me. This guy, it's like, yeah, cool. I'm just gonna dance over here. It's like that there's a really good Nietzsche quote who said, and those who were seen dancing were declared insane by those who couldn't hear the music. Something along those lines. But like, it's all about perception, right? Perception is reality. Even if it's not true, we make it true by believing in it. And look, if anything in this stream has made any sense to you, then you're one of my people, and I appreciate it. The videos that I make, they're not for pickup guys. They're not for guys who want to learn 5 easy techniques to get any woman into bed. They're not for guys who want like who are just chasing the next notch or the next lay. Like, I don't resonate with any of that shit. If you're on that old school pickup paradigm of 10 years ago, accusing women of being French, running the London day game model, just unsubscribe, because we don't have any shared vision in mind. I'm making these videos for the guys who want to transcend reality. I'm making these videos for guys who maybe you've been in a difficult place in your life, but you've reached that point. I call it your rock bottom renaissance, right? Your rock bottom renaissance, where it's like you've hit your rock bottom and you're like, I want to evolve. I want to create something special. I want to overcome all these self-limiting beliefs. I want to just become that version of myself that I'm proud to be. And I want to live a great life, something along those lines. I'm making these videos for you. Yeah, I think this has been a good stream. I hope it has. I don't know. I've enjoyed making it. Oh, that's a nice spot. But yeah, boys, listen, if you've enjoyed this stream, drop it a like. I'll aim to get back onto top form tomorrow. But yeah, download my free courses. I'll link everything below. You can listen to client interviews, go onto the homepage of my channel, watch all the free courses I've uploaded onto YouTube, get my Most Fuckable Man course. It's a free course. You might as well download it. And then, yeah, appreciate all of yous, love yous, and I hope that this stream has been useful. All right.